Hey guys, been a while since I've been online, but just thought I'd kind of put my 2 cents out there for what it's worth. So obviously, race division, what's been going on with the killing in Minneapolis, that's kind of spurred a lot of the chaos that you're seeing right now. Just some thoughts that kind of came to mind for me that I want to put out there. So I'm a military brat, as they call us. My father was in the military for about 20 years, from the time I was born, through the time he retired, when I was kind of entering into high school age, if you will. And as part of the military, the concept of race never came up. I didn't know what race was. I didn't know what division and non-unity was. Every race, religion, creed, whatever you want to say, as part of my early childhood up until I went into high school, it was a non-issue. We were friends without distinction of color and religion. We dated each other without distinction of color, race, and religion across the country where we were stationed from base to base. And think about this for a moment. And every one of these people were just as competent. There was nothing that would set one apart from the other than these distinguishing marks that I'm kind of alluding to, which, again, we made no note of. In the military, you want unity. In the military, you need to operate as one unified machine as such, right? And it works and operates beautifully in what it is they do. It's just the way it works. And they recruit every race and religion across the board. They're all equal in the minds of the government, of the military, and what have you. So to me, again, the first part of my life in the military, who wants to operate as one, who wants to be the most powerful, unified force to do what it is they do extremely well, and to support and be the backbone of the elite structure. That is how they operate, and it works extremely well. Now, once you move out of the military, once you move out of the family of the elite structure with the military backbone and get out into Joe Public world, suddenly this whole idea of race comes to mind. It wasn't until my father retired back to his hometown in the Carolinas, so in the Southeast, and I went to school amongst those people, did this whole idea of race and division come up. And it's very divisive. I mean, you are divided, you don't operate in a unified way, and you're weakened that way. So it wasn't until then that this whole idea of race and division come to the forefront. So to me, that right there alone speaks volumes. When you're within the confines of the elite structure and the military structure, they don't want you divided. They don't want you weak. They want you strong. And so that narrative is not part of their structure. And I would imagine it's probably, if you come into the military with that prejudiced, race, divisive kind of mindset, they'll knock it out. I mean, it's not true. Anyway, so to me, in this world where they're constantly bringing up race and religion and division, that just kind of came top of mind. I know Morgan Freeman at one point was interviewed by somebody, and he basically just said, stop talking about it. If we would stop talking about it, it would go away. I think the system constantly plants the seed of division using race constantly because it divides us. So if you have one brain cell working, and you think about the one core fundamental fact that the elite power structure in this world that wants to rule the world and wants a one world government and want to control everybody is to divide us. Everything they do plants the seed of division, and once that seed is planted, we stupidly replicate that and propagate that across the board to do what it's supposed to do, and it just divides us. So that all being said, when I saw the Floyd, issue and incident, and I'm going to call it a Floyd incident because I kind of question whether he's really dead. I kind of question whether there wasn't something nefarious or something subversive around that whole scene. I know this is kind of a dead discussion now because we've kind of moved on past it, but everything about that scene, as soon as I saw it, didn't look right. It looked wrong to me completely. And of course, there's lots of stories that are unfolding that kind of show there was a lot more interesting history amongst the bunch of those guys, including Floyd, who supposedly was murdered. Apparently, there was history there amongst them. So I'll just leave it at that. The point I wanted to bring out here is just that this whole race division is all about dividing us, weakening us, and making us easier to conquer. And everything they do starts there. So if you have one brain cell that's working and you at least acknowledge and recognize that instrument that they like to play on a regular basis, let that help color and guide your discernment and what you think and go on. So there's that. That was really the main point of why I wanted to kind of create a short video on that, and I think it's something worth kind of taking note of. The other thing is, I mean, we're going into the end of the year election, and it's going to continue to be chaotic. It's going to get worse and get worse. I've been telling people for years that we're at war. There is a war going on. It's a different kind of war, so it's not quite so militaristic, but we're at war. I've been saying it for years since Trump was elected, and it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better. And I can definitely see it getting worse between now and the election cycle, and even after Trump's reelected, which I have all the faith in the world that he's going to get reelected. I can't imagine anybody beating Trump. But in any event, I can see even after his election, just to keep him from being able to make progress and instill changes that we want to have done, he's going to continue to have the chaos around him. And I can see a lot of people flipping their vote and choosing not to vote for Trump because they're just kind of tired of it. So yeah, we're slaves. Yeah, we're suppressed. Yeah, there's the elite power structure up there that wants to rule us. And yeah, I'm tired of the drama, so I don't want this anymore. I give up. I can see a lot of weak-minded people out there basically saying that. And if that's you, that's you. I mean, that's why we have an election. That's why we vote. That's why we have a democratic society. That's why people around the world flock to America to be a part of this system, because here you can at least instill your voice has weight and can be carried and can implement change. We have the Constitution, which foundationally I think is a wonderful thing that provides structure and what have you around our lives and how we can affect change if we want to affect change. And I think a lot of people, the reason why Trump was voted into office is because people they started to wake up to the realities around them, and they wanted change, and they needed someone to take no prisoners and go in there and do it. And this system that we have right now, that we've had up to this point, has been so systemic for so many decades, probably even going maybe over 100 years. It's so systemic to the corruption and the elite power structure that it's not going to change easily. I was wishful thinking that our president, with our support, could affect substantive change to turn it all over in the first term, but I was a little doubtful that he could do it in one term. It's going to take time, and honestly, I think even a second term is going to be a challenge to completely turn this ship around. I think there needs to be a trend or a movement towards bringing outside people like President Trump into office and keep the systemic kind of political system, incestuous political system, from continuing to propagate and kind of push that narrative and to push that government control like they've been doing. If you just a quick point, if you listen to the Rubin Report, who I'm a big fan of, he did an interview with Richard Grenell this past weekend that I watched, and Grenell, you gotta love that guy. I hate the fact that he was an interim DNI. I think if he would have been permanent, it would have been great. But be that as it may, with the short time he was in that position, he did some great things, and he paints a picture that's just spot on. It's exactly kind of what I'm thinking. And I think it's why we're in the problem. We have the problems that we have. So I would suggest watching the Rubin Report, the Richard Grenell interview. Spot on, beautifully articulated discussion. So go listen to that. So in any event, big believer in kind of what we're doing. I love the fact that POTUS fights back. He doesn't roll over and take it. It's going to continue to get more and more vicious, and I'm amazed and I'm thankful that he's hanging in there, and he's hanging tough, and he's continuing to fight back, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to, at some point, I think, we the people are going to have to do more than support him from an election cycle. We're going to have to do more to support him to affect change. I guess we'll know when the time's right for something like that. In any event, race I wanted to kind of touch on, because it is a tool of division. It is a tool to weaken us. So I wanted to talk about that and what the elite government structure does in their soldiers when it comes to race and division. They nip it in the bud, and that's not part of it. And you're indoctrinated away from race and division. And it I think that says volumes. So in any event, just wanted to put that out there. Certainly welcome any commentary, but while it was top of mind, I wanted to do this. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon, guys.